Hi, everyone. Welcome in, and thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to jump back into our workshop on separation and divorce. My name is Wendy Raymond, and I will be your facilitator for this workshop, where we'll be covering the basics of separation and divorce in Massachusetts. Now, before we get started, I do have to give this disclaimer that I am not an attorney, and the information shared during this workshop is provided strictly for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing discussed here should be interpreted as legal advice. That said, I am a legal empowerment coach and a family law paralegal with over 10 years of experience supporting families and law firms across multiple states in the US. Through my platform, Wendy Advocates, I created the More Than Motions workshop series. You'll notice the logo right above me. This is a program designed to help individuals and families understand the legal process in plain language, while also addressing the emotional and practical realities that come along with the process. This session is presented in partnership with Family Matters of Massachusetts, a community rooted nonprofit organization that is dedicated to strengthening and supporting families, especially those who are navigating family and immigration law matters. So, if you'd like to learn more about me, our programs, and our upcoming sessions, you can visit our websites or find the links in your session guide. I've also included them down below for your convenience. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get started with today's content. Today's session on the basics of separation and divorce in Massachusetts is designed to help you get grounded both legally and emotionally. And it's a space for clarity, conversation, and community. Even though we're talking about laws and filings, I really want to let you know, and I want to name this, that this is a very personal process. It is very heavy and it's very hard to navigate. And so, as we're going through this workshop and the sessions as that are part of this separation and divorce module, and you start to feel like things are feeling heavy, I just want to let you know that that is okay. It is okay. Each of you are at different levels of your journey. Just like we discovered last session, some of you might just be considering divorce and separation, while maybe some of you are already in the thick of it. Some of you might have already gone through the process and you're just here to learn and to get clarity for your own peace of mind. Like wherever you are, the goal of this workshop and these sessions is for you to find a safe space of folks who are also going through the same process. And this is a space where you don't need to perform. You can show up here as you're exhausted, pissed off, spent self, and know that you are supported and that we're going to arm you with knowledge and strategies so that you can make informed decisions for yourself and your family. With our time here today, we're going to walk through three main goals. The first one is understanding the legal differences between separation and divorce in Massachusetts. Now, a lot of people use the term separation and divorce interchangeably, but they really mean very different things. So, we're going to talk about what each process involves, what it looks like on paper, and what it might mean for you and your family and your future plans. We're going to acknowledge and discuss the emotional impacts of separation and divorce because, like I said, if we're honest, this is not just about paperwork. It's a very emotionally taxing, heavy, traumatic process. And so we're going to process through the triggers and the emotions that we feel and that come up as we even think about divorce and separation. And those emotions can include grief, anger, maybe you're confused, even fear. And sometimes you're feeling all of these things at one time. So we're going to take some time to talk about it, to normalize those feelings. And I'll share some tools and some coping strategies to help you to stay grounded and to stay resilient as we navigate this process. And lastly, we're going to reflect, like I said, more reflecting because it's important on where you are in the process today. By the end of today in this session, I want you to have more awareness about where you stand, both legally and emotionally. So, we are going to take a moment to reflect on your current stage, what you need most right now, and what moving forward could look like for you. So we've already completed our welcome and we're wrapping up housekeeping for today's session. Next, we're going to loosen up with a fun icebreaker. That'll be fun. And then we'll move into our main teaching segment on understanding the differences between separation and divorce in Massachusetts. There, I'll be breaking down what separation and divorce actually mean in what separation and divorce actually mean in Massachusetts. You'll learn how each process works, what living apart really looks like, and why separation and divorce carry different legal outcomes. After that, we're going to pause and acknowledge how those transitions feel. Like I said, I'm acknowledging those emotions and sitting with them. We're going to deal with them. We're not avoiding them. Grief, relief, confusion, whatever's coming up for you, we're going to open up space to reflect and share. Where are you in this picture? Are you exploring? Are you in the thick of it? Are you finding peace after you've already navigated this process? Where are you? The pros and cons of separation and divorce. Here, we'll talk about a few real world insights that I found from a short article that compares the pros and cons of each path. And then we're going to close with a guided reflection exercise to help you recognize where you stand emotionally and legally. And the goal of all of this is not to solve everything in one workshop or in one day. Instead, it's to bring clarity, it's to bring awareness, and it's to bring peace to your current situation. For today's session, you should have received a digital guide for this session, session 2. And that includes our reflection pages for this module, some journaling pages, key points to help you remember what we covered today. And there's room there for any notes you want to jot down as we navigate this workshop. And then, of course, this session is nothing. It's going to be mundane if you do not participate. So we definitely need your full participation and your presence. If you're watching this on replay or online or on YouTube, feel free to grab a notebook, pen, pencil, whatever you need, so that you can jot down in notes and do the reflections and the activities with us. Um, I also want to remind you of our community agreements. So we made some community agreements last week, and I've included those on page 2 of your session guide, just so that this can continue to be a safe space for everyone. Okay, let's break some ice. All right, imagine this. Your house is on fire. Everyone is safe. Everyone is safe. No worries. But you have 30 seconds. Okay. Okay. You have a minute. A minute. I'll be nice. You have a minute to run through the house, grab 3 to 4 things to save. What are you going to grab and why? So go ahead. Whether you're in your house or you're not in a position to actually go and get things and look around, just think about it. Your house is on fire. What are you going to grab? All right. So you have 1 minute. I'm putting 1 minute on the clock and we'll see what you come up with. What are you going to get? Separation and divorce are two separate processes in Massachusetts. Last session, we grazed over a few of the differences, and in this session, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of the differences between separation and divorce. What differences do you remember from last session? Here it is broken down. Legal separation in Massachusetts is actually informal. That means you and your spouse are still legally married, but you're living apart. You do not need to go to court to become legally separated in Massachusetts. You could just simply decide, both of you, to just live separately, live in two different places, live apart. However, if one spouse needs financial support while you're living apart, while you're separated, then that person can file a complaint for separate support. And that's the legal action that asks the court to order things like child support, spousal support, or custody. But it doesn't end the marriage. It's just putting some type of guidelines in order around the affairs and the responsibilities that still need to be managed within the marriage while you're separated. A separation is usually based on justifiable cause. So, for example, serious marital problems or safety issues that make living together just impossible and unreasonable. Maybe it's abusive. Maybe there are like a lot of domestic violence issues happening. Whatever the case is, you both find that there's cause, or maybe just one spouse finds cause to live separately. But when you're separated, there's still room for reflection, and there's still even room for reconciliation. It's really just a pause, not a full stop on your marriage. Now, a divorce is different. A divorce is a formal legal process that ends the marriage completely. It makes a final decision about property division, child custody, support, and all other marital rights and responsibilities. Once the divorce is granted and finalized, the marriage is legally over. You're no longer married. It's permanent and it's final. A divorce requires what's called grounds for divorce. And that could be something like the irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. That's actually the default ground that is used in divorce matters. And we're going to learn about this later on when we focus in on divorce. Um, but there are other grounds for divorce. There are other, reasons recognized by the court for why you need a divorce or why you would like a divorce. And unlike separation, once the divorce is final, there is no automatic way to reverse it. So, in short, separation means you're still married but living apart. It leaves room for reconciliation. Whereas divorce means the marriage has legally ended and it's final. Whatever path you're on, whether you're taking the time apart or you're seeking a divorce, I really want you to remember this, that both processes, both paths, separation or divorce, they both involve loss, change, and that's going to bring on grief because what once brought you joy and satisfaction and you thought would last forever is now ending. And you have a decision to make, and that is painful to navigate. And so give yourself grace, please. This is not just a legal process, it's a personal transformation, and you are in a transition season. So it's okay if your emotions do not line up neatly with where you are legally. Okay? You are human, you're learning, and you're doing your best. So let's talk. Based on what you learned so far and what you've heard, what's your picture? Are you still exploring what separation might look like, or are you firm? Like you've made your decision, you want a divorce. Um, do you have children? Is there a marital home, any marital property, any other factors that you need to consider in order for you to decide whether separation is ideal for your situation or divorce is what needs to happen? Here's a really good one. What's the driving factor behind your desire to divorce and separate? What's driving it? Um, do you have justifiable cause? Are there grounds for your divorce? Or are you just upset right now? Is this just emotional for you? Are you just being petty? Check in with yourself. This activity is in your session guide, and I've left room for you to journal out each of these questions that I would like you to explore. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to reflect. And when we come back, if you feel safe, I would love to hear what's happening for you. Please share out. We'll sit with one another and listen to where we are, what one another, what picture we're navigating right now. So, 5 minutes. I came across an article on the pros and cons of legal separation versus divorce. And I thought it made some strong points and it makes a case for considering legal separation before taking the leap to divorce. So I thought that it was very interesting and very valuable. So let's check it out. It explains that if you and your spouse are struggling, but not completely certain that divorce is the right decision, it might be worth exploring legal separation as an alternative first. Now, some couples choose separation for personal or spiritual reasons. For example, when their faith or religion discourages divorce. Whereas others might make that choice for strategic financial reasons, like maybe maintaining shared health insurance coverage, or they want to protect certain benefits. So I thought let's just pause for a moment and think about this together. What might be some reasons you've seen or heard of that might make someone choose to separate instead of go full on divorce? And what do you think are some of the pros and cons of each path, separation versus divorce, especially in terms of emotional, financial, or family impact? What are the pros and cons? What do you think? The article pointed out a few key differences worth thinking about. For example, a legal separation can be reversed while a divorce is permanent. We know that, right? We just learned it. If a separated couple is able to work through their differences, they can simply reconcile and resume their marriage. There's no court filings needed. It's between them, and it's their choice. I don't know if you ever have known a couple who went through a long, dramatic, expensive divorce only to get back together a few months later. Have you ever met a couple like that? Like they probably should have considered legal separation first, right? And what's funny is that it actually happens so often that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has built in a buffer for this exact reason, and it's called the Nisi period. So when you go to divorce, you file for divorce, you go to court, the judge grants the divorce, you then enter a divorce nisi period. And in Massachusetts, that period is anywhere from 90 to 120 days after the judgment of divorce, where the divorce isn't fully final yet. It gives the couples a chance to change their minds before anything becomes official and permanent and final. So you know, separation can really be a useful space to breathe, to think, to reassess, right? It can give you time to figure out what you really want, especially if you have children that are involved, because it allows for those important conversations about custody, support, and logistics to unfold without anything being permanent and final, right? You're just talking, you're just working things out. You're trying things out, maybe. You might even try different parenting schedules or different strategies. So this space can really feel and look different for everyone. And I just want to acknowledge that. For some folks, separation can feel like a relief, like you're breaking from the tension and the chaos that's going on, while for others, separating might feel like limbo, like you're stuck in between hope and heartbreak, and you don't know whether you should hold on or move on. And so divorce might be a better option for that person because it's final. But it does come with its own emotional storm. It can bring both grief and relief. And I just want to let you know it's okay to feel both. You're not a robot. You are human, and you're experiencing such a traumatic chapter of your life where you're grieving loss, change, and sometimes freedom all at one time. So your feelings do not need to be either or, they can coexist. And I just want to let you know that. Another thing I want to say is that this article makes a great argument in favor of divorce by stating that, legally, a person who's separated is still married, which means that they can't remarry until the divorce is finalized. So, if moving forward and closing this chapter completely is your goal, divorce might feel like the right step for you. But, ultimately, the decision between separation and divorce, it's deeply personal. If there's no one size fits all answer, there's only what fits for you and where you are in your journey. So I'll link the article down below for you if you want to read more about it. They do touch on other topics like prenups and life insurance. So you might find that valuable. And then you can also reflect on, how these ideas might apply to your situation. But we're going to go ahead and move on with an activity that's going to help you to reflect on your situation and what is best for you, separation or divorce. So let's land this together. We just walked through the legal and emotional differences between separation and divorce in Massachusetts. And so now it's time to bring it home to you. So go ahead and open up your session guide to the reflection activity entitled, Where Am I Now? If you don't have the guide, notebook, pen and paper, or maybe the notes app on your phone works perfectly fine. And the goal here is not to fix everything today, not in this workshop. It's simply to notice where you are. Awareness is the first act of self advocacy and standing up for yourself and gaining clarity. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to just breathe, to be honest with yourself, to think about your situation, what is going on. If you can only muster up one word answers, that's okay. Messy is okay. You're human. And so when you're ready, reflect on these prompts and feel free to begin reflecting as I read them out to you. So here we go. Deep breath. Where are you right now in this process? Mentally, emotionally, legally. Where are you? What emotions are you carrying most right now? Is it anger? Is it sadness, fear, guilt, confusion? You relieved? How are you feeling? And what is that emotion trying to tell you that you need? Where do you feel it in your body? Do you feel any tightness in your chest? Maybe your back hurts. Where do you hold your stress? What are you clear about after today? After all we've learned about, the differences between divorce and separation in Massachusetts, the different options, legal separation is informal, leaves breathing room and room for reconciliation, whereas divorce is permanent, final, done, signed, sealed, and delivered, door closed. What clarity did that bring for you? What do you need next? Is it information, support? Do you need to set some boundaries? Or maybe you just need some rest. Like, what is it? What do you need? Do you know? And what would safety look like for you as you move forward, emotionally, financially, legally? What feels unsafe right now? And what would it look like for that to be safe, for there to be safety, so that you can move forward? Think about it. Where are you right now?